welcome. So we're going to finish this graph off, and finally I have the other half of this graph. Yes, it finally came up 27 times. So, but now it looks okay. All right, so let's do the end behavior. Oops. All right, end behavior. F of x approaches our vertical asymptote, so that's -2 as x approaches negative infinity. It approaches negative infinity as we approach the vertical asymptote, which is 4 from the left-hand side. And then the function approaches positive infinity as x approaches 4 from the right-hand side. And then, of course, approaches the vertical asymptote as x approaches positive infinity. There's the end behavior. Domain is everything but the vertical asymptote. And the range is everything but the horizontal asymptote. Right, and I've got, I believe, just one more graph for you, and then there's a real world problem for you to watch. Yes, indeed, one more to graph. All right, and this one, you just sit back and watch and relax because this one's not in your notes. But just sit back and enjoy the video. All right, so we set the denominator equal to 0. So x equals 0 is the vertical asymptote. Horizontal asymptote is what's added to the whole function, so y equals -4 is the horizontal asymptote. Of course, if nothing was added to the function, then the horizontal asymptote would be 0. I'm going to write the equations for those. X equals 0 is the vertical asymptote. Y equals -4 is the horizontal asymptote. Now let's find the x and y intercepts. All right, so, well, can we plug in 0 for x? Let's find out. If we do f of 0, that gives us -1 divided by 0. Oh no, that's undefined. All right, so no y-intercept. How about an x-intercept? 0 equals -1 over x minus 4. Add 4 to both sides. So we have 4 equals -1 divided by x. All right, so we'll cross multiply. 4x equals -1 times 1. All right, and that's just -1. Oops, -1. I said -1. I did not say -4. And then divide both sides by 4. So x is -1/4. So while there's no y-intercept, there is an x-intercept. And that point is -1/4, 0. All right, we're just going to plug in and get 2 points on the right-hand side, 2 points on the left-hand side, and one of those two could be the x-intercept. Let's plug in, I'm fine with it just being the 4 points. You know what, maybe I'll get 5 points. I'll plug in -2. And that would be -1 divided by -2 minus 4. So that's 1/2 minus 4 is 8/2. So that is -7/2. -1 would be -1 divided by -1 minus 4. So that's just 1 minus 4, or -3. We have the x-intercept, -1/4, 0. And then we'll just plug in 1, which would be 1 divided by 1 minus 4. So that is 1 minus 4, or -3. Oops, excuse me. That's -1 divided by 1. So that would be -1 divided by 1 minus 4. So that is -1 minus 4, or -5. And then finally, plug in 2. So it's -1 divided by 2 minus 4. So that's going to be -1/2 minus 8/2. That's -9/2. So there's our 5 points that we're going to graph, and 5 will be fine. All right, so -2, -7/2, so that's 3.5. So that would be right there. -1, -3, right there. And -1/4, 0. So it's kind of steep there. So here is the left-hand side of the graph. Ooh, I kind of almost crossed that. So note that it's not supposed to be crossing, but I'm not perfect when it comes to drawing these sometimes. And it's just getting closer and closer to the vertical asymptote. Maybe I can do that a little nicer. Oops. Cut. Cut. Not clone. Let me try that one more time. Good enough. All right, and then our last 2 points, 1, -5, and 2, 5, or 4.5, -4.5. And then there we go. There's the graph. All right, so essentially, it's the same as when we graphed 1 over x, except notice it's flipped, which side is on the negative side, which is to where the left is and where the right is, right? It's just a mirror image of that, and then it's been shifted down 4. Final two things. First of all, end behavior. So f of x approaches the horizontal asymptote, which is -4, as x approaches -infinity. It's going to approach infinity as x approaches 0 from the left-hand side. F of x approaches -infinity, so it's a little bit reversed. Right? Notice it's reversed, and notice the numerator is negative. So f of x approaches -infinity as x approaches 0 from the right-hand side. F of x approaches positive infinity as, oops, sorry, I got carried away. I wrote the same thing twice. F of x approaches the horizontal asymptote -4 as x approaches positive infinity. And then last but not least, domain and range. So domain, everything but the vertical asymptote, -infinity to 0, and, oh, that looks like a 6. -infinity to 0, and 0 to infinity. And then the range would be everything but the vertical asymptote, -infinity to -4, and -4 to infinity. And that's the last of these graphs. And sit back and watch a little word problem about moving sod, right? And some various ways you can move that sod. And we'll graph it as a rational function. Bye for now.